Hello Pisces, and welcome to your March forecast. I'm really happy to see everybody again. I hope this month is getting off to a fantastic start for you. A reminder that you can always use this for your sun, your rising, as well as your moon sign. If for some reason you don't know all three, just stick with the sign that you were born under and you'll get the info that you need. If you love someone in your life and you want to see what's going on with them, you can also watch this for partner or for a child. It also works in that respect. All right, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about my format and then we'll get into the forecast. Each and every month, I separate this into three parts. The channeled information, which is coming up in just a moment, then a full Celtic cross, and then I will expand it to health, wealth, love, and destiny. If you enjoy what you see here today and you want to give back and support the channel, please stick around until the end. I always talk a little bit about, there's three different ways that you can help. I'll put some of that briefly here at the bottom, but I like to get straight into the forecast because I know that's why you came. So without any further delay, let's talk about your channeled information for this month. As I meditated on the deck of cards that I'll be using for you today and saw what sort of imagery, sounds, and other intuitive downloads came through, it was quite beautiful for you. I had this image of what felt like it was a cocoon or chrysalis, and I felt like there was a sensation of either coming all the way through that sort of shell or cocoon, or beginning the first step of coming out on your own, breaking through. I wrote down the following word and I added some emphasis in it, which we'll talk about in a second. The compound word is breakthrough, but I really wanted to look at the two components of it because the important thing I think for many of you is to sort of stand back or take some time off and allow for a break to happen in your life. If you find yourself in a situation this month where you're just continually pushing towards a goal and you don't allow for downtime, a rest, a break, then please do that. The other thing is, you may need to break, quite literally, some sort of a habit, a cycle, or a way of thinking in your life in order to get through to whatever your goal is. So there really are two pieces to this, and sometimes we just see breakthrough and we think, well, how does that happen? It happens because you've done all of this work, you sit a little bit, and that's what the cocoon is all about, or the chrysalis, the metamorphosis. And once you've kind of integrated with the information, then you break free and you step out into the unknown, you take a risk. So you're going to be somewhere in that process, either getting ready to sort of rest and integrate and think, or possibly wondering, when should I take that leap of faith? So as we look at your cards this month, we're going to try to navigate through that and figure out how it makes sense for you. But overall, there's highly transformative energy. A butterfly, a moth, a phoenix. That's what I'm kind of getting with that sort of an energy in that compound word, okay? I'm going to now shuffle the cards. I'll pull the camera down, lay all the cards out in the Celtic cross, and then we'll talk about all of the messages for this month. At this point, I typically remain quiet just to observe the cards, their placements, and also so I can receive any information. Okay, you actually had two that volunteered, so we'll look at both of these. Okay. All right, Pisces, you have two catalyst cards this month. I'm going to start with the upright one here. With the bear card, there is, again, there's a twofold meaning that I would get with this. There's hibernation, and this is a very active bear here. So what I want you to sort of keep in check for you this month is make sure that if there's someone in your life that triggers you, that you don't automatically go on the offensive, or that you don't even feel like you have to defend yourself. Try to stay in a neutral place. And we're not seeing neutrality with this bear. So either there is an antagonist around you, or somewhere within there's this sort of feeling that you need to kind of fight. I want you to sort of really sort that out. There are, of course, are things that are important to fight for, but you want to make sure that the battle is one that you really want to take on, okay? Especially if this is not you, it's someone else in your life. That's not something that I'd want to meet alone, right? The second piece of this is the rusted cross here. It's a cross. With the cross in reverse, for me, I'm usually seeing this as peace. Look really close at what we see on that. You see the butterfly? That's what we've been talking about, is transformation. So I see this as peace of mind, as a symbolic sort of renewal, rebirth, because when I look at a cross, that's a symbol of resurrection, right? And when we look at a butterfly, that's a symbol of chrysalis and also sort of reimagining or resurrection. For some of you, it might be a chance to overcome issues with anger or people in your life that have sort of triggered you in the past. You're going to put that to rest this month with the rusted cross here, and you're going to give yourself a chance to move on, to reimagine what it could feel like to not have that energy in your life. The big thing that I see with this is a sense of peace and tranquility, perhaps after a period where there has been a lot of unrest. So I like what we see here with the combination of the two. This is a much more subtle energy because it came through reversed. So you're really going to have to work at finding peace of mind. And remember, when we look back at your channeled information, that may require some sort of a break or a shift for you to make that happen. So at the center of the spread here, we have the King of Wands. I actually really like this card when you're looking at trying to get your life in order. For me, I typically look towards the Queen of Wands as sort of the best possible management card. This one often comes through when you're kind of at the top of your game. If it's your own life, if it's trying to figure out a business decision, this is a really good month to bring organization to any aspect of your life. And also if you're in an advisory sort of position, or if you have direct reports at work, for instance, or if you're just the head of your family, it feels like you're going to be able to bring all of these pieces together this month in a very nice, concise form. So organization is the first thing. And if you take some time off and you actually feel like rested and rejuvenated by doing something like cleaning or filing or going through a spreadsheet, some of you may find some sort of a wonderful piece in that. Go for it, because this is a very good card for business, for brainstorming, but it is sort of like a higher order type thing. So I feel like some of you just want to think about things as well. And this is the ultimate card for thinking through a problem. If there's anything that you're trying to solve, I feel like you can work through it this month. Crossing that card is the Queen of Pentacles. So this is like a double whammy of good information and good omens when it comes to business. King of Wands, perfect for organization. Queen of Pentacles, perfect for growth. And so also, if you have some sort of a big idea, this is something you might want to even patent, because this is something that can take off. Or if you're working in a larger team or group of people, together you guys could create something beautiful. This can also represent a partnership. Let me quickly turn the camera down so you can see what I'm talking about. We have the Four of Wands here in the deep past. The Four of Wands, although it was reversed for me, this is a card of friendship. It can also be one of coming together for a contractual agreement, or deciding to just lend a hand, literally lend a helping hand. There is, with this, some strings attached, and you want to be careful and make sure that both ends are meeting their part of the agreement. With that in mind, the biggest thing as we look at this page card, Page of Wands in reverse, is, are you really hearing each other? How is the communication going? You want to make sure that you're not simply sort of crossing wires, or sometimes maybe redoubling efforts. So I think the biggest thing that you can work on is active listening, repeating what you've heard, making sure that you're also being empathetic and understanding to what that other person might need. So don't be afraid to ask, hey, I thought this would help. Is that what you would like? Always find ways around this. And it doesn't matter if this is a love relationship, a friendship, or a business engagement. Listening, being there for the other person, empathy, really, really important. I think it's always important, but especially this month. So in the crowning position, precisely what we were seeing here with taking a break, and then also with the rest that is sort of intrinsic to this cross, which is marking sort of sacred ground or a place to rest, resting place. We have the Five of Wands in reverse, which means take it down a couple notches. Whatever you're working on, make sure that you don't work so hard, so much, or so fast that you miss a detail, that you get sloppy, that you're not putting out the best possible work. Better to sort of push back on a deadline, to say no, or just to sort of ask for help, than to do it all yourself and sort of kind of peter out and, or like I said, not deliver the quality that you want to deliver. Transparency, honesty, and trust are really, really important now and always, but particularly this month. The Seven of Swords card comes through sometimes when a person is acting maybe not in the best light, acting covertly, doing something under the table. With respect to your business, I don't think you can do this. You have to be really careful. So for business, work, and school, I would say don't take a shortcut. With relationships, the Seven of Swords in reverse comes up when you need to be a lot more honest and transparent and direct if something is happening in a way that it shouldn't. Just call it out, again, sooner than later, and I think you will be in a good place. All right, when we look at your ego card this month, we have the Empress. Great positioning. This is showing that you should be in charge this month. If you've been thinking of doing something on your own, whether again, it's a project, a business, or maybe you're deciding, I just want to be independent. This card very much supports that, and it's a nice complement to the King of Wands. The only thing that I'd like to sort of highlight here is that there's a lot of maternal energy coming through. And sometimes this can show a parent or a boss in your life that is kind of like a helicopter, swooping in and really weighing in probably too much, more than they should. So if that's the case, remember that ultimately this is about your independence, your autonomy, your voice. Make sure that you're not getting sort of pushed aside or muted by their voice, because it seems like it's loud and it seems like it's very present. Okay. The speed of this month is going to go by pretty quickly. As I'm looking at your environment, we have the Knight of Swords. I feel like there are a lot of items on your to-do list. There's a lot of people around you. We can see that in all the court cards that came through. Try to keep up. And if you need to delegate, delegate. I think the really important part of your life to keep track of are your obligations and your communications. So if there's voicemails piling up, emails or regular mail, or you just can't seem to sort of get in touch with everyone that you need, this is time that you would need to sort of like, again, give that work to someone else, hire help if you're a part of a company, make sure that you can keep up with the demand on your resources. And there are a lot. I think let's look at how many court cards. We have the King of Wands, the Queen of Pentacles, the Page of Wands, and the Knight of Swords. That's a lot. And the outcome card is also one that normally shows a ton of friends, families, and coworkers. So I'm just seeing a lot of people tapping out your energy potentially this month, and it will be very important for you to try and stay on top of that. When we look at hopes, fears, and opportunities, we have the Chariot in reverse. And this could mean that, oddly enough, as we look towards the end of the month, everything could start to slow down. I feel like you're going to have a very quick beginning, and even towards the middle, like I said, you'll have a hard time trying to stay on top of all of this. The reason I want to make sure that you don't lose any messages or anything from that beginning and middle part is you're going to need some of that at the end, and you also might need to do some follow-up and follow-through. There's a chance that, again, some of this stuff could kind of get carried away. This particular chariot doesn't have anybody in it, and I know it's kind of symbolic of growth because we have that lotus petal, but I like to see a driver when I'm looking at that card, and there is no driver. So what I want you to do this month is just to really make sure that there aren't pieces of your life where they feel like they're getting sort of carried away like that chariot card. The biggest sort of, I think it's the blessing and the opportunity for you this month, the challenge, if you will. We have 10 of Pentacles in reverse. Now, 10 of Pentacles, just as you see here, it's a card of domestic bliss. It can be one showing community, one showing work, resources. It's usually very beneficial. But when the card is reversed, it can actually show that some of you are giving too much to other people in your life. And there's a need for you to sort of stand up, say no, be vocal about what it is you can do, what it is that's sort of outside of the realm of being realistic. Don't overcommit yourself this month. That's a common thread because ultimately, it'll just end up aggravating you. I kind of falling in love with this bear picture because every time I see it, it makes me laugh a little bit. It is meant to sort of show the extreme polarization of frustration, of being kind of angry, of sometimes overreacting. Because when I see this, it's instinctual. It's not something that's premeditated. So try to always go to that place of neutrality, of peace, of evenness, because otherwise, you could miss something, or you could lose your temper, or you could kind of get sloppy. The positive aspects of this month, and there are many, by the way, are, again, a wonderful time to come up with new ideas, a wonderful time to partner up with other people. Just make sure that both ends are kind of dealing with their ends of the equation and what they agreed to do. And then again, I just feel like your overall management skills are off the charts this month. So whether you're a mom, a dad, a business owner, someone that's retired, or you're in school, you're going to really be able to get organized this month. So embrace that energy It doesn't often come like that. And know that there are people around you that you can lean on just as much as they lean on you. That's what this card is sort of saying. It's time to get all of the scales balanced out for you. Let's go ahead now, and we are going to expand your forecast, looking first at health to see what we can do to avoid the angry bear. All right, so let's give this a shuffle and see the message for mind, body, and spirit. And we have distant thunder, clear the air. Love, love, love this card because this is a way to avoid the tower. When I look at that, I very much see sort of like a tower possibility on the horizon. So be communicative, be open. This is a complete connection to the Seven of Swords. This card was reversed, meaning it's avoidable, it's mutable, it's something that you can control. And as I said earlier, it's better to say something way before it gets to the point that it's obvious or that you can't fix it. So this is typically about someone not observing the limits in your life, not listening to you, possibly not respecting you, or maybe you're actually being called in because you're not doing that for someone else. Whatever's going on here, know that however uncomfortable it feels for either you or the other person, wow, it's going to be so much better than dealing with that craziness in the background, okay? So transparency, neutrality. Remember, if someone comes towards you, if it's unfounded, you want to meet it with neutrality and say, we need to talk later, etc. If they're bringing up something that you need to be accountable, the same thing goes. You could just say, you know what, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. You're right, we can both work on this. I can take care of this. Thanks for bringing it up. Try not to get combative in that, and I think that's going to be the way to succeed through that. If you have to have the difficult conversation yourself, just go in it with love, with an open heart, and say, I want to talk to you because I really care about what we're doing. I really care about you, and I think we could do something to make this even better. If you go in from that point of view, the person opens up. If you go in like this, it's not going to be something that's going to be received as well. All right, let's move along to wealth and see what's coming in for career, for money, and overall for opportunities in your life. All right, the card came in reverse, but let's turn it upright so we can read it. It says, courage. Be courageous, stand up for your beliefs. Since this is coming through in your wealth area, I think that for many of you, there's a chance to advocate for more abundance in your life. If you are trying to get a new job, what you could do this time around is to make sure that you are really aggressive at the sort of negotiating table. Not to the point that you scare someone, because as we look at this, notice that the beast, the sort of scary stuff, it's in the background. There's sort of a hidden strength, a hidden power with this. This isn't your typical strength card. This is someone who's simply coming forward, knows that they have the information and the right to be at the table, and doesn't have to prove anything. There's no need to sort of get angry. You come at this because you can say, hey, I actually have been doing some research, some people have been talking to me, and this feels like it's where we need to be. For some reason, we're not here, so let's talk about how to make that happen. There's no accusations there. It's more sort of we need to improve this situation. And so I want you to come to the table, the negotiating table, with a sense of, I know what's going on, you know what's going on, here's a plan for fixing it, or I'm open for discussion. And there's a lot of power, a lot of strength, a lot of sense of self there, and there's no need to sort of get angry or to push energy. This reminds me of a very muted version of the strength card, where instead of the person sort of taking the beasts and opening their mouth, there's just an understanding that we're both powerful, we're both equal. Notice that there's two behind her. So you know that you don't need to go there, and there's strength in that quiet sometimes. So I think that an understated but nonetheless sort of strong communication style is going to be what's important this month. Non-verbal communication can fill in the blanks where the verbal communication is being pulled back a little bit. Remember that it's not about intimidating either. See this person that's just very, I know what I need to do, you know what I need to do. It's sort of like stone-faced. It's not about scaring. And I think if you can do that, you're going to be able to have some good negotiating tactics. The other thing is, I always believe that there's an ability to be diplomatic and find a way to communicate something without tearing somebody down. And I think that's really important this month too, because the ultimate goal here is to have friendship. Notice how in this Ten of Pentacles, it's a neighbor card, right? You know, you can't always pick your neighbors, but you are going to be there for a while sometimes, whether it's a coworker or literally your neighbor. So you can just yell at them and say mean things, or you can try to reach an agreement or a compromise. And I think that might be the sort of happy space for both of you this month. And I wish you luck on that. I've given you a lot of tips on that. Just try to avoid this, okay? Meditate on this beautiful angelic courage angel that we have here with the power of those sort of animal totems behind her, but without her having to flex her muscles, okay? Let's look now at love and see if there's any messages for relationships, for family, or just for being in the space and frequency of love, something that I had talked about in a previous video. All right, your message for love this month is, not surprisingly, love, but the card says, I commit to the practice of seeing love in all things. The card was reversed, showing that for some of you that could be a struggle. And it's interesting, I mean, we're going to do a review here in a moment, but we look at your health. It's needing to sort of clear the air, get something out there. When we looked at your money, your wealth, your career situation, it was about having the courage to stand up for yourself. Again, clearing the air. And then we look at your relationships, how to navigate that. It's about being able to see the good in things. This reminds me of something that I was trying to sort out with an editor that I work with. I'm writing a book, I've been editing it, and he was trying to get me to create a revenge theme in my book. And I was trying to say, yeah, I know that makes sense in sort of a traditional archetype we see on TV and in movies and in books and literature, this example of like people always wanting to kind of have a vendetta. But what we're doing as light workers is trying to find redemption, find the best, shine light and unconditional love in things. So I had to switch editors because of that. But I hope that we start to shift so that people don't expect that and stop writing about it and stop putting it out there. And one of the things that I'm trying to do with what we're doing here is to help people think differently. And so for you, you don't have to go in that old archetype. You can look at somebody and assume that this is actually what a Reiki teacher once told me. Everybody at their highest self comes from a place of love. The way to help them find their way back is to use love and to use compassion and to use kindness. That's your secret. That's your key this month. Redemption, not revenge. Light, not shadow. Okay? Let's focus now on your destiny message. Destiny is a way to connect with sort of the best possible trajectory. And it'll show you where you're headed. If you want to stay in that trajectory, you can. And if you want to course correct, you can do that as well. So we have in yours the Phoenix, and this is carrying on with that theme of being able to transform into whatever you want. If you remember at the beginning, I said there were a few things that I saw, like a butterfly, and then the last one was a phoenix. So you have this ability to change, to surrender, to reimagine, and that's really been the overall theme of your entire reading. Yes, there's a little bit of difficulty to get through, but there's so much possibility here, and there's that possibility to be able to heal something so that you can have this friendly, neighborly energy around you. Even if there's somebody that has driven you kind of crazy prior to now, I feel like you can overcome this. And most importantly, I feel like for some of you, you can overcome an energy in yourself that in the past might have tried to approach something in a counterproductive way. This is about sort of reorienting your internal systems. You're reprogramming a little bit. And that's why we show up every month. I'll talk about that at the very end. But first, let's review and bring all of this into a nice, concise messaging for you. Your channeled information, this is a breakthrough month for you. We saw it in multiple places. We see it right here. Through peace comes transformation. Through your ability to surrender and not always feel like you have to control things also comes transformation. As we looked at your catalyst, you're the only sign that it's gotten 2 in a long, long time. There is sort of this duality that I see here between the bear and the cross. And so peace and sort of aggressiveness, letting things go and bringing them up. So pick your battles wisely and know that this was the muted energy. So you want to focus more on how to be neutral, how to be peaceful, how to assume the best, how to assume that there is love and light in all, and how to kindle that light, because that's what we do as light workers. All right, let's turn the camera down and we'll look at each of the cards in their placement. I know for those of you that are fellow readers, you appreciate this part. So King of Wands energy at the center, showing a great month for ideation, for management. Crossed by the Queen of Pentacles, showing growth. Even if you're not happy with where your money is, you can make a lot from your present resources right now. So I see resourcefulness and organization central to your spread. Friendships, contracts, and relationships, something that you can build upon. It feels like you've already done some good work in that area. You need to listen more, and this card illustrates that quite nicely, I should say. Your crowning card, the Five of Wands in reverse. I think it also ties to your hopes and fears card here, the Chariot in reverse. Needing to slow down where you can, to listen, to make sure that you don't lose track of important deadlines or communications. And more importantly, if you feel like that's happening with someone in your life, you have to be open and transparent and be the manager, be the boss, be the person in charge that you can be. If there's someone in your life that's trying to exert control, find a way to also push back and make sure that they respect you for who you are. The outcome card is again just showing this need to sort of balance out what you're giving and what other people are taking, and also to remain friendly even with people that can be difficult sometimes. We talked already a little bit about this, but I'll highlight it. With health, it's important to deal with something sooner than later. For clearing the air, if we're not talking about relationships, there could be something going on in your body, an ache, a pain, or something that's out of sorts. Talk to a doctor now. Don't wait for the storm to come. This is a time to be proactive and a time to sort of get ahead of things. When we're looking at your wealth, again, just standing up for what's right. For some of you, you may decide to, seek out legal consultation and fight for something, and that's okay if it feels right to you. Just remember to try to keep it all in the light. When we're looking at relationship advice, again, assuming that everything comes from a place of love, or at least you're going to try to find how to deal with things in the love, in the light. Finally, whatever you're trying to change, you can. If you're in a place in your life where you're just not happy, you feel stuck at work, you feel stuck in your career, maybe you're retired and you want to change and do something different, this is a month where you can start that reimagination, that resurrection. Understand that it's never too late to make the change that you want, but it does take courage to take that leap of faith. And I hope that you can find that, and I hope that you can affect your life in a way that makes the changes that are necessary. So with that being said, that does bring our monthly reading to a close. I hope that it provided you with the guidance that you need to navigate through this month. If you ever find yourself, however, at a place where you do want to talk about a big decision, about a life change, about someone who's driving you crazy, I'm here to talk to you. So check out the first link and the first card in the video. You'll see a link to my booking site, and you can check out my rates and availability. If that makes sense, great. Otherwise, a way that you can just support the channel, especially if you like what you see here from month to month, is to do a very small but impactful donation of $1 or more. You can join me on Patreon or do that donation through my website. I'll put the information below, and it'll be in the second card and second link. Know that, again, although that may feel small to you, it's really impactful for me, and it's a nice way to even out the energy exchange for me being around here for a half an hour or so trying to help you. So if you choose to do that, thank you from the bottom of my heart. A third way that involves very little effort, but again helps me spread the message, which is much appreciated, is simply to like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to opt into notifications, great. But the big part that really helps me as well is to share it. I'm going to put all my social media links here. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I have a newsletter as well. And if you'd like to share all of that with your network, I would love for you to do so. So the third link in the video and the third card will allow you to connect to my website where all of those links are. So thank you in advance if you want to do any or all of the above. And I'd like to end with the big note this month, which is this idea of transmuting and transforming. And I think that the big thing that we saw here, both in there's three things. I saw that the breakthrough could happen when I was just meditating on you, and that you could kind of push out of an old shell, of an old mold. And through that neutrality, through that peace in your mind comes the transformation that's necessary, but you have to rest. And we have this theme of letting go and becoming something new, which seems to be the big opportunity for you. And then choosing love, because that's what came through in love, interestingly enough, being courageous to speak your mind, and making sure that whatever needs to be changed in your life is dealt with earlier than later. It's always better to handle it before things kind of get to a head. So I hope that this helped you. I want you to keep working on yourself, because your ability to find love and light in your life creates light in your life. And this, if you were to kind of go out in space and look at the planet, it would be like, one of those aerial views where you see all the city lights lighting up. I can see all of you connecting and brightening this planet. That's my goal each and every month, is to help bring you all closer to your maximum frequency, your maximum abundance in your life. And I'm just really grateful that you allow me to be part of this journey. So until we see each other again, have a good month, and I will talk to you soon.